Hello and welcome to the Aussie Game podcast, where we talk all things Australian football, and there's been plenty happening this week. I'm joined as always by Mopper. How are you, my friend? How's things this week?
Yeah, great, Chief. So excited. I think my bubble's about to burst. I'm really starting to feel that the Socceroos and Matildas are going to unearth the next generational talent. Just seeing all the young players in their trials leading into the new season, I'm getting very excited, and I'm going to put an early call out for. I think this next generation is going to be one of the best. So I'm just putting that out there. So I'm pumped. What about yourself?
Golden Gen 2.0, you reckon, mate?
Oh, mate, I just feel it. I can just see it in the just the way everyone's coming through the system at the moment. I just get very excited about around the 20 mark, what we're producing. Probably might be a bit early for the World Cup, but hey, I'm just putting it out there. I'm just getting excited. I'm seeing so much talent. I'm merging Socceroos, merging Matildas. You're going to have to burst my bubble because I'll tell you what, watch out. I'm pumped.
Mate, no need to burst the bubble. I've seen plenty of people talking about that 2030 World Cup with the next crop coming through. So not just you that excited, there are plenty of people out there that are excited about that one. So let's kick it off this week. The big news of the week is Nestory Irankunda and his move from Bayern Munich to Watford. So the 19-year-old has agreed to join Watford in a permanent move, reportedly worth 3 million euros, which is 5.3 million Australian dollars. Bayern reportedly also inserting a 50% sell-on clause and retaining a buyback option. So not a bad deal at all for Bayern. If he does really well there, they'd certainly have the option to bring him back or to get plenty of that sell-on fee for the next move. Reportedly, Adelaide will also get part of that fee as well, his former club before he joined Bayern. So that's good news for Adelaide United as well. Irankunda was hit up at the airport on his way into Watford, and he said it was a very hard decision to leave Bayern Munich. But for me, my biggest goal is to play in a World Cup, and the 2026 World Cup is just around the corner. So, yeah, I have to be playing minutes, and I wasn't playing in Germany, which is fair enough. He certainly wasn't getting game time in Germany. He was on loan at Grasshopper last season, but this is obviously a more permanent move for him and good for him to settle himself there in England and to show what he can do. So what did you make of the move, mate?
First of all, congratulations to Irankunda on the move. Stoked that Adelaide gets some more money for him. Because obviously they're the club that developed him. So well done to Adelaide to getting a little bit more financial support. That'd be fantastic. I'm really interested. Bayern Munich, a buyback, that just shows they must think something, yeah. And I know Irakunda's got high expectations, probably puts too much pressure on himself, but I think it's a great move. I'm going to break it down. He's got the number 66 again. He believes the number is considered a lucky number, so he was stoked and actually had an emotional reaction when he found out that Watford could give him 66.
Got the EFL exemption, didn't he? So
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to break down some numbers. So what happened at Bayern Munich? He was in the second team, 15 appearances, 4 goals. Last year, he was loaned out to Grasshopper, 19 games, 1 goal, and now he turns up to Watford. So we're looking at 34 games for 5 goals. So he's really looking to step it up. He wants to move fast. In that time, too, he did debut for the Socceroos, got 5 caps and scored a goal. Struggled to find himself in Popper's system and really was demanding a position and spot, but just couldn't express himself and just couldn't fit in. But I think that's just all part of learning. And I think Watford's a great move for him. Let's have a quick look at Watford. Last year in the Championship, 46 games, 57 points. They come 14th. So they scored 53 goals. So, they're looking for a little bit more attack, but their defence was a bit poor. Watford just signed a new manager back in May. So Pezzolano was appointed the new coach. So it's a bit of a fresh start for Watford. And I looked into Watford to see what's his competition. So you've got like Tom Ince, right wing, currently there, but he hasn't been prolific, hasn't been playing much. He was originally from Reading. You've got also most of the rest of them are strikers. So you've got Ken Sema, Jefferson, Bayo, but they haven't really contributed much in goals. So not really that much depth in that position. But interesting as well, Watford did sign Manama. He's a right winger for Montier. in League Two in France for 1.3 million. So they've actually invested 4.3 million at their top two signings for the year in right wingers. So I think Irakunda's got a great chance to start, but he will have a fair bit of competition. Watford are really going young. You can see in most of their signings, they're signing 19 and 20-year-olds. So I think Watford's trying to get some youth. Their manager's Uruguayan, so obviously I think Irakunda right wing probably will start if that's what kind of style he plays. I think he's going to benefit from a great Watford starting lineup there on the right, because I can't see too much competition apart from that Manama on the right side. So I think my basis is he's 19, he's aiming high, he's got to play football, he's spot on. And I think, again, we said about the championship, if you can get obviously into that starting lineup, you're going to be playing 40 or 50 games plus.
Yeah, mate, I'm absolutely thrilled and excited for him. I'm probably 95% excited for him. I've got a few little concerns, not so much about Irankunda himself, but about Watford. So you mentioned Paolo Pezzolano, their manager. He's the 10th permanent head coach they've had since Nigel Pearson was sacked in the summer of 2020. So that's a really high turnover. They're quite well renowned for turning over their managers. So hopefully for Irankunda, he can have some consistency with his manager. He hasn't played under a lot of managers in his short career. He was obviously under Carl Viet at Adelaide United all the way through. So yeah, we hope that that disruption doesn't happen again for Watford. Interesting you mentioned his approach to the Socceroos. So Popovic was asked in his press conference about the move for Irankunda. So Popovic was quoted as saying, hopefully this next move can develop him further. Whether that's an immediate impact with us or not, it gives him a better chance, of course. So he was included in Popovic's first camp, and he did start that match against China in Adelaide, but was kind of frozen out from that point onwards. Also, Anthony Joseph from Sky Sports News, he was quoted as saying, Nestory Irankunda to Watford is a massive, massive transfer for Watford, perhaps even the deal of the summer in the championship. So it's not just us that are excited about Irankunda and what he can do. There's plenty of people over in England that can't wait to see him get into his work.
Yeah, we just want to see him enjoy his football. Yeah, I know he's got high expectations of himself, but just go back to the basics and let the football do the talking. And then you won't have to worry about the Socceroos. It'll just happen for him. He's just got to learn and develop. And I think it's a great stepping stone. And I'm glad he's out of that Bayern mix, because we've seen so many players, at bigger clubs that if they want someone, they're going to spend 100 million, and they want players now. They're not so much about the development piece. They'll have them on there for other reasons, but yeah, it's really hard nut to crack. So brave move, but get out there, son, and just enjoy your football and put that smile back on your face. And I'm sure you'll be in that Socceroos side in 2026.
Yeah, we all want to see that, don't we? When he was coming through early days at Adelaide United and scoring goals for fun and getting all that notoriety, and that's when he was really at his best. And when a bit of that pressure got lumped on him towards the end of his time at Adelaide United, you could certainly feel the weight of expectation on his young shoulders. So yeah, we just don't want him to get back to see him smile on his face, enjoying his football, doing plenty of backflips after scoring goals and just enjoying himself. So my one other thing I wanted to point out is that I remember years ago Thierry Henry making the point when he moved to Arsenal about, chasing lost causes and being, doing all the dog work to try and endear himself to the fans, to try and get on his side. I just hope that Irankunda kind of sees this as a real good opportunity to do that, because plenty of Watford fans, from what I've been reading, are really excited that he's coming over, and I think they really want to see the best of him. And yeah, hopefully it's going to work out for all parties. And as you said with Bayern, it's a win-win for Bayern. They've got all the cards there in terms of what happens in his career. But I think for Irankunda, it's a long-term deal at Watford. He's going to be secure, and look, if he does do well there and thrive, he's got a next big move, either back to Bayern or to another big club. So yeah, let's just wish him well, and hopefully looking forward to seeing him play. He's got a couple of games coming up as well. So there's a friendly against Leyton Orient next weekend, and then there's also a friendly against Deportivo La Coruña on the 31st of July before he starts life in the championship away to Charlton on the 9th of August. So yeah, exciting times coming up for Irankunda.
Yeah, I love it. He's a real X factor. I think, yeah, let's hope he can get a good season under his belt. And yeah, I'm sure all the Australian fans would love to see him next year really develop and push on and go to that World Cup, because I think we know he's got something to offer you, and he can crack it. This is one of the players, if he finds his feet, can really push on.
Yeah, you can imagine those left fullbacks in the championship absolutely not wanting to come up against him if he's in red hot form. And one of them being Jacob Farrell, obviously at Portsmouth. So that'll be they had some ding dong battles in the A League, so maybe reigniting some of that rivalry, which would be fun to see. But I think there'll be a few Australians going out there looking to see how they can stream some championship games with all our Aussies playing over there for sure.
I love it. All right, what else have we got on the agenda, Chief?
There's plenty of other transfer activity outside Irankunda. So a few of our Matildas. So Daniela Galic, she's moved to Sweden, to Vitcho GIK. So we've got a bit of history at that club. So Claire Polkinghorn, Katrina Gorry, Charlie Grant have all previously played at the club. And obviously Gorry and Charlie Grant moved on to the WSL after that club. So good stepping stone for Galic. She was playing at FC Twente, limited game time. They obviously did really well in Europe last year, but Gallagher got limited game time. So be good to see her get a good run over there in Sweden. Tegan Micah, she was released by Liverpool, but she's been picked up by Olympique Lyonnais on a 1-year deal. So that's good for her to get that security before the Asian Cup. And that's obviously Ellie Carpenter's former club as well. Courtney Nevin has been released by Leicester. Haven't seen any news of her landing anywhere as yet. So, yeah, a few of our Matildas making some moves probably in preparation for that Asian Cup coming up next year.
Yeah, I'll just touch on Galic. I'm a big fan of hers, and she did score in the Champions League last year. So her side is currently already in competition. They're 12 games in. They sit mid-table in 8th, 4 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses, 16 points. So I think it's a great stepping stone for her. I think this is a good club, and like you said, has history. And what about Micah? Hey, Lyon, the champions of France last year, gone to a big club. Good luck to her. Hopefully she can fight for that number 1 spot. That's a massive move. Wish her well in that one. And I'm sure Nevin will find her feet. She's young. A lot of clubs will be after her. She's got a great left foot. And so let's hopefully she'll pick up a club soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving on to a bit of other news. So Gabriel Lombardi, saw this pop up on my social media during the week. So he signed his first professional contract with Parma. Obviously, Alessandro Gicardi's over at Parma as well. But Lombardi came through the Wollongong Wolves system and then spent some time at Sydney FC. But congratulations to him for his first professional contract over in Italy. That's great news for him. Aston Villa have also signed a keeper. We were speaking last week about Martinez, if he was to move on from Aston Villa, where that sits Joe Gauci. Gauci actually got injured during the week against Warsaw. So I think you said Mopper hip injury and out for a couple
2
of months.
months. Probably 2 months, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll rule him out of those September friendlies against New Zealand. So another chance for another keeper to come into the squad. But yeah, obviously with Bizzo coming in from Brest as a keeper, that probably moves Gauci down the pecking order. And even if Martinez goes, you'd think that he'll still be number 2. So yeah, interesting times for Gauci and what he does with his Villa career. The other one, sorry, you go, mate.
Oh, yeah, sorry, mate. Bad timing for Joe and Martinez. I reckon will wrap up a move to Man U. So he's definitely lined up for number 2 and could be sitting in. They do have Europa, so hopefully he gets back fit and can get some game time.
Yeah, Onana's out for the year. Is that why
Yeah.
Martinez is
12
gone?
months gone. Martinez heavily linked. It was heavily linked before. I think that just sealed the deal. I think this will happen pretty quick now, and Joe will hopefully slot in the number 2. And you never know, he might get some opportunity this year. Hopefully, if not, I think again, come January, he probably needs to get some loan move like he did last year. Was it Barnsley? I think he went to Barnsley last year.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the Aussie Game Podcast, but we like to keep an eye on our New Zealand friends as well. So Liberato Cacace, he's moved from Wrexham to Wrexham from Empoli. So good move for him. He did really well in the A-League, and yeah, obviously he's going to go to the big Hollywood glamour club over there in Wrexham. They've had a bit of a torrid time over here in Australia, but they'll be hoping to hit the ground running in the championship. So well done to Cacace.
That's a great shout out too, Chief. He's played 2 seasons for Empoli, yeah, 31 games and 33 games. So he's having a real crack, and
Yeah.
it's a great move, and well done for he's chasing his dream, and he's looking a real solid prospect for New Zealand, and we might see him out here in September.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, hopefully we see a bit more of him. But yeah, certainly he's great. He's left back, and yeah, great prospect. And I'm sure that New Zealand will be wanting plenty of things out of him in the future. Let's move on to a few rumours. So these are all unconfirmed. But Geordie Boss I saw during the week linked to Feyenoord. That would be a huge move for him. Obviously, go to a massive club in Holland from Belgium. So yeah, interesting one for Geordie Boss. He's had his run-ins with injuries over the last couple of seasons, and whether a move would freshen him up a bit. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Plenty of interest in Lewis Miller. So there's several championship clubs after him. I saw Blackburn was one of them, but Hibs have said their valuation of him is more than what clubs are willing to bid for him at the moment. So he's staying put for now. Marco Tilio linked to Rapid Vienna. That one seeing more and more of that one. So that one seems like it's probably going to happen. So I think that's going to be a loan with an option to buy from Celtic. So again, another chance for Tilio to get out there and show what he can do. And Nectar Triantis linked with QPR. So if he is to go, that would make it 4 Aussies at QPR and another one in the championship for us.
It could be an Aussie derby, QPR and Portsmouth, yeah?
Mate, like, how many games are we going to look at in the championship where there's not going to be an Aussie playing this season? It's crazy.
Who's got the championship? Is it DN Sports?
I think
Or
it's been sports, yeah. I
yeah.
was looking the other day. I don't think they've released a schedule for it because I was looking at it thinking, how are we going to line up to watch some of these things? So,
You're gonna have to raise some more money for Australian transcripts, yeah? Like, it's just
oh,
we're
mate.
gonna have to have another one. We dropped Optus, but we're gonna have to pick up some more.
Yeah, well, as I said, there's going to be plenty of interest. I think from memory, they maybe show 2 or 3 games a week. So, yeah, our Aussies are absolutely flying the championship. And look, there's, obviously, 2 more that are linked there at the moment. And who knows, there might be more to come.
Yeah, I just with Lewis Miller, he's like you said, he's got a year to go in his contract. He's got to get back fit though. He's coming back from injury, and so's Geordie Boss. So, yeah, bit dangerous. Talking about moves. I know with Miller with the 1-year contract, but yeah, just got to get their fitness right first, and otherwise, if you fall behind in over there, it could be a long way back.
Well, I mean, they're our left and right back starters for if everyone's fit. They're our options, aren't they?
Yeah,
So we need them to be playing,
yeah.
ideally for sure. And just on Triantis, so he's obviously linked with QPR, but he's still on the books at Sunderland. So he got 45 minutes in their 4-0 friendly against South Shields during the week. They played a game against Sevilla overnight, but he didn't feature at all. So whether that's an indication of him moving on, I'm not sure. Probably not worth reading too much into that one. But yeah, he's obviously at Sunderland. He was on loan at Hibs last year, did really well, and probably looking for a move. Sunderland in the Premier League might be a step too far for him at the moment. So it'd be good to see him getting some game time. Elsewhere in the Championship, Riley McGree, Tom Glover, and Sammy Silvera got 45 minutes for Borough against Santa Clara. McGree and Glover probably locked in for Borough's squad. Silvera probably on the fringe. He might be looking to get away from them as well. The one I really enjoyed during the week was Segacic and Tommy Waddingham linking up for Pompey. If you haven't seen the goal, seek it out somewhere on the internet. But it was a beautiful ball to Waddingham's feet, and he's just flicked it around the corner to an on-running Segacic. So, yeah, awesome goal. I'm sure Popovic would have been really excited about that one. And, yeah, all 4 of our Aussies got 45 minutes in that one. So, how the as you were saying that, not going to burst your bubble, mate, because that's a really exciting combination. And if all those 4 Portsmouth boys can play consistently, probably good three of them are looking at Socceroos places.
Mate, I reckon these guys are nearly in the start going to start the season, like, in the starting lineup. They were red hot, yeah. They were looking good. As you said, great goal by Sigurdsson and Wellingham. Assist, that was fantastic, yeah. I was getting excited. These Wellingham especially didn't feature in the under-20s in the Asia Cup, but geez, the World Cup's coming up in October in the under-20s, but they might not even get a go in the under-20s because they might be playing in the championship. So,
I think
wow.
both of them are too old. I think
Oh,
I might be wrong, but
yeah.
I think
What?
look similar to Irankunda. I thought if he was still at Bayern, he might get a chance to play in the under-20 World Cup. I don't think there's any chance that these clubs are releasing these guys for the under-20 World Cup,
Yeah. I know.
unfortunately for us.
Fit 'em in would be World Cup favourites. No, just joking. Oh, no, it's exciting. I'm getting excited, Chief, and it's only early. It's July, big month coming up in August. So, great work by the boys. So I don't know who to support, Portsmouth or QPR. I'm gonna have to have 2 or 3 teams here.
Mate, there's plenty of others as well. So I think we'll just follow it from an Aussie lens and get behind them all.
That's it. Absolutely. Wow. It's
There's heaps happening in Scotland as well. So Callum Newhoff and Cam Devlin getting some game time for Hearts. So they're building nicely into their season. They had a 4-0 win during the week. Two 4-0 wins actually, two games that they were playing. And then Postulus, Stamatolopoulos, and Johnny Kachumbis, they both got some game time for Motherwell against Peterhead. And then Stamatolopoulos, and he got 60 minutes and Kachumbis got 30 in the game overnight. Ryan Strain and Zach Sapsford both started for Dundee United in their midweek game. Strain actually captained the team, which is nice for him. Both played 66 minutes. Saw heaps of comments from Dundee United fans who probably saw Sapsford for the first time, just commenting about his ability to run all day, which was definitely a feature of his time with Western Sydney Wanderers when he was in the A-League. So, and he got some game time. He got another start in their game in overnight as well. He apparently had a few chances from what I read, but wasn't able to convert. So yeah, heaps of players getting game time in Scotland, which is really nice too.
Yeah, you've got Aberdeen as well, Yengi Milenovic. What do you got about them?
Yeah, so like I was just looking this morning about potential Scotland teams playing in Europe. So we've got Aberdeen with Yangi and Milanovic, Hibs with Miller, Boyle, and Iredale, and Dundee United with Ryan Strain and Zach Sapsford. So they're all in qualifiers for either the Europa League or the Europa Conference League. They still have to qualify for those competitions. But how exciting is that? That potentially got those players, 7 of them coming out of Scotland, that could all be showcasing what they're able to do in those European competitions.
Oh, I love it because there's so much football, yeah, so many games. It's going to give them ample opportunity over there. It's to test themselves against different styles too in Europe. Well, I think that's the where you really learn. Yeah, you grow your football in your league that you play in, but you really step up and test yourself in these European cups. Different styles of football, and I think that's where they'll learn the most. So they're gonna gain some great experience this year. Hopefully they make it, eh? We'll have to follow that one pretty close because I know Bodic has got his qualifying campaign next week as well. He played 45 minutes against Hamburg too the other night, so there's plenty happening in the Australian space.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And I think like I've seen another thing that Popovich mentioned in his press conference during the week is when these guys do move from the A League over to the Championship, and we saw that with Yazbek and with Farrell and with Matthews last season. We've seen a bit of it with Riley McGree, even though he's a bit older, a bit more experienced. But they do tend to pick up these injuries when they first go over there, and I think it's the load in the games, but it's also the step up in the training and the demands of the club that they're at. So the more game time that they can play, the more accustomed they're going to become to that competitiveness and that kind of, as you've mentioned before, that kind of 3 games a week and just getting used to all that because it is a big step up. If we're only playing kind of 26, 27 games in the A League plus a bit of the Australia Cup, but that's more preseason. It is a big step up for them to then go play, whatever it is, 50, 55, 60 games. Yeah, and you can't just click your fingers and make that happen.
Yeah, football's not slowing down. There's plenty of football over there, so I just like that everyone's finding their right balance within the right club. Like, I don't see any concerns this year around getting frozen out, and we've had a lot of history with that with the Socceroos, like coming into camp and, "Oh, I haven't played this and haven't
Yeah.
played that." I'm not hearing that this time, and this is why I'm excited because everyone's starting to, and I know it's only early days, and some people obviously comment on me measuring myself as I need to do sometimes, but I just think we're in some really good positions and some really good clubs where they can get some good exposure. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it certainly is, mate. We're going to touch on a few more happening friendlies. Lots of friendlies obviously happening in Europe. And as you said, the real proof will be when those first actual game starts for points and whether these guys are in starting lineups and in squads. But Connor Metcalf played second 45 in St. Pauli's 4-1 win. Casey Boss played the second half in Mainz's 4-1 win as well. Heaps happening in the MLS. They're playing kind of 2 games a week there as well. So Arias Piol came on for Real Salt Lake with a nice assist that he laid on. And then he got a start this morning for 62 minutes as well. And then, yeah, Yazbek, Aidan O'Neill, Kai Rolls, all getting some consistent game time for their clubs as well. So, yeah, MLS in full swing. Nashville, I see, we're obviously tracking that with Yazbek. They're up to second in that Eastern Conference, so going really well. Kevin Muscat, Shanghai Port, they're up to third in China, 4 wins in a row for them. So, yeah, Muskie's doing really well over there. Callum Elvis started and played 59 minutes for Derby in their 2-1 friendly win over Salzburg. Now, I made a note here about the left back depth because I saw plenty of people when we are thinking about those squads for Japan and Saudi Arabia mentioning Callum Elder's name. But then if we throw in Casey and Geordie Boss, Aziz Bayich, Jacob Farrell, Alex Gersbach, who was in that training squad, people have mentioned Jacob Italiano as well. The few few options there for Tony Popovic. So I'm not sure whether Elder's going to get a look in, but it's good to see him getting some game time anyway.
He's going to need some frequent fly points, mate, to keep up with all these boys. Hopefully,
Oh,
hopefully he's got some scouts out there because that squad in September is going to be very interesting.
yeah. I think Paul Oakhorn might be based over in Europe, and he's the one jetting around doing these visits to these players. But
If
yeah,
he needs an assistant, Chief, we're available. If he needs an
yeah.
assistant, shout
My
out.
hand,
Give
my
him a
hands
shout
up.
out.
Yeah, and then Daniel Benny, Jalen Pearman, and Keely Adamson, they all got 24 minutes in QPR's 2-1 win over Toulouse. Noah Bodic, you mentioned before, is it Europa Conference League for Rapid Vienna? No, sorry, not Austria Vienna. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up with Marco Tilio now. Yeah, so they had a 2-1 win, 2-1 loss, obviously, to Hertha Berlin. Looking at the summary, he had heaps of, not heaps, he had some chances there, but wasn't able to convert. But he's obviously just still finding his feet. There, he did score a double in their 6-0 win, which we mentioned last week. But that's a bit of a wrap of everything, all the player activity going on. I actually did leave a fair few out. We had to cut it down a bit, but just shows you all the players that are playing over there as we build up to the big European season.
Yes, love it. Lots happening, and we're going to move on to Chiefs Challenge. So we're going to announce the results from last week.
Yeah, Chiefs challenge this week. This week's answer was Nathan Burns. So hopefully you picked up the clues in that one. So this week's got a few more clues. So are you ready, Mopper?
Yeah, far away.
All right. So this player was born in Burnley in 1977. He's an A-League Premier and an A-League champion. He's the A-League Golden Boot winner and a Joe Marston medalist. He played 123 A-League games, including a stint at North Queensland Fury. And he was an amateur kickboxer who had the moniker of the Aussie Wonder from Down Under. Any guesses, mate?
I think I'm on the right track, but when you put the kickboxing in, that threw me. So I'm going to have to go back and research that one. Early thoughts on North Queensland Fury. I've got one straight off the top, but we'll announce it next week, and I'll send you a little message and see how close I am.
All right, mate. Yeah, if you think you might know it, drop us a message on the socials. See if you can guess it, and Chiefs Challenge will be back for another round next week. Let's go to a bit of A-League news. So we're going to look at each club. We're not going to do the whole window or what they've been up to, but we're going to look at things that have been happening for particular clubs in the last 7 days or so. I just wanted to first touch on Alex Grant and Ufuk Talay's comments in regards to their interviews for the Wrexham game. So, firstly, Alex Grant was questioned at halftime of the Wrexham game about how good the crowd was and how good it is, and he kind of went on a bit of a tangent, unprovoked, about yeah, it's great, but why can't we get these kind of crowds at A-League games? And look, there's lots of different layers to that, but I think you made some good points about, people get up at 3 a.m. to watch their team on the other side of the world, but they're not willing to go 10 minutes down the road and watch this quality product. So that was Alex Grant's comments on that one. And then Mufi Talay, post game, was given the cliched question about, how would Sydney FC go in the championship if they were to, be competing with Wrexham week in, week out. And then he kind of dismissed the question and just kind of said, look, I don't like these questions. I prefer to just focus on how good our league is and the quality that was on show tonight against Wrexham. So I thought that was some nice comments from both of them in relation to the A-League and people's support. And as I said, look, there's lots of different reasons why people may consider not following the A-League, but yeah, I thought unprovoked that the two of them made some good comments around that one.
Yeah, look, podcast 2.0, I can lean in on that, but we'd be here all night about why I think the crowds aren't there. But yeah, look, I firstly want to congratulate Sydney FC for putting on an absolutely awesome performance. Their football was fantastic, and the young players really showed, again, more potential that's at home, not just overseas. They played some great football. It was exciting to watch, and yeah, no doubt the crowd got into it. It's always positive having clubs like Wrexham, and we've had some big clubs out here over the last few years, and hats off to the English Premier League clubs that have come over and that as well. And obviously, like we said the week before, that we may have a Serie A game in Perth once that gets signed off. So look, when you bring quality and exposure, people want to see it and they want to be involved in it. So that's why the crowd's probably there for that Sydney FC Wrexham game. It's already been highlighted who owns Wrexham, and that's just another catch point. But I just want to. Talay's right. Yeah, you can't compare leagues because they're not comparable financially or structurally. They've got different pyramid over there as well. So I think let's focus on the football and a great result for Sydney FC and some great football played. And I think, we said in our podcast that Sydney FC would be under a lot of pressure because they underperformed last year in both men and women's. And if that's the response we've got, then they could be in for a big year. And I know some more little gems there. I know a lot of A-League clubs are working out their squads, but geez, what's underneath the surface with the youth is gonna be very exciting to watch for all the Sydney FC fans out there.
Yeah. Well, let's stay on Sydney for the moment then. So that game against Wrexham, they were missing Leo Senna. They were missing obviously Alex Grant, who got interviewed at halftime, and the big one Douglas Costa as well. But they gave starts to Reece Yuli, who was a new signing from Westlow, Corey Holman, and Wataru Kamijo played in that midfield. So with Anthony Caceres moving on, they're probably looking for a replacement to go in there. So Coleman and Kamijo might be going head to head for that one. And then Gus Hofslot played in goals. And a lot of people think that he might start ahead of Devonish Mears in the season. And then Tiago Quintal obviously played out wide, but I'd say that's Douglas Costa's spot once he's back in that starting lineup as well. But look, they made those whole team changes at 60 minutes, and I just made a point about the Joe Lacey goal. I was so impressed with the way that it was put together. The way they play the ball out, I think it was like 10 touches across 6 players, all on the deck, all kind of quick play, a lot of one-touch stuff, but just the confidence they had to play the ball between the lines, move the ball forward, carry the ball forward with intent, and then the composure of Lacey to just drop the shoulder and curl that shot in. There's a potential for Sydney looking at 6 players to bring in 4 locals and 2 visa players. And Talley was quizzed on it around the game and kind of said that he either wants a winger or a 10 or possibly and also a central defender. But when you look at those kids, and I know they are kids, and a lot of them have come through the academy, but a lot of them would have been putting their hand up in that game to say, "Look at me, maybe you don't need to go out and sign someone."
Yeah, Chief, Wrexham couldn't even get the ball off Sydney FC. Like, Sydney FC were controlling the game. Like, it just speaks volumes. And Wrexham had a pretty good side out there. Like, they were trying to put pressure on them, but they couldn't get the ball off Sydney FC. And the way they possessed the game and those comments that you said are spot on. Wow, this. Yep, I think don't worry about the checkbook, son. Just get the youth up there and expose them, because you just expose them against one of the championship sides, and they've done fantastic. And I get it; it's only a friendly, but the way they played football, yeah, I'd tell you what. If I was Sydney FC, I think they're in for a big year, mate. I'm super excited.
Yeah, well, we've already seen that Camijo signed a long-term deal. Matthias McAllister as well. Akola Khan came across from Western Sydney Wanderers. They've already locked a fair few of these guys on longer-term deals. So, yeah, I don't think I would really hope that they put a bit of the faith in that youth. I can understand Tale wanting to right the wrongs of last season and build more strength and maybe experience into that squad. And but look at what they did in that game. And look, yes, it was an exhibition game, but Wrexham would not have wanted to lose that. Those players all on the field, they have pride, and they're wanting to push for places in their starting lineup. So yeah, you can say it's an exhibition all you want, but yeah, certainly they wouldn't have wanted to lose that one.
Yeah, and like I said, that the standards rising. Yeah, and like I think the A League, if they're looking for people to follow and teams to follow, you got to play attractive football. And you know, we've long wanted teams to possess the ball and use it in a positive way, because it's definitely much more on the eye. And I know you got to win football games, but geez, if that's the trust, then just go for it, because I don't think he's gonna be let down by any of those players, and because they're going to want to develop themselves.
Yeah, absolutely agree, mate. Just a couple of other things with Sydney FC. So, in regards to the women's team, they announced the departure of the US centre back Jordan Thompson after 2 seasons at the club. So, Thompson's decided to return home to be closer to her family. So, big loss for Sydney FC, but completely reasonable for her to be heading home to be closer to her family. And then Brianna Edwards, their goalkeeper, her contract was mutually terminated by the club as well. So a few changes, as you mentioned before. Their women's team completely underperformed last season, so looking for a few changes there to make sure that they can get back on the right foot when it comes around to next season.
Well, just when we touch on the emerging Matildas, Chief, who won the 15s?
Yeah, New South Wales Sky Blue 15s.
Just yeah, just there they are. Next
Yeah,
generation.
yeah.
Next
Well,
generation.
it's not unusual for in the A League women's for 15 and 16-year-olds to be debuting, is it? So yeah, there might be a few there for them to look at.
All right.
All right, let's go through a few other clubs. So Adelaide United, Zach Clough has moved to the Malaysian Super League. Looked like he still had a year to run on his contract, so I'm not sure the exact terms of how he's left the club, but that'll be a miss for Adelaide United. He was pretty good for them last season. Kane Vidmar, who has been released by Western United, he's currently training with Adelaide. I think they should probably pick him up. They were pretty short in the centre back spots last season. And obviously, with Kikianis all but going to the under 20 World Cup, they'll need some cover for him when he goes as well. And then there's a new coach for the women's team. So Theo Siunis, he signed a 2-year deal as the A League women's coach. So he spent 10 years working his way up the ranks in coaching. So yeah, credit to him for his persistence. And I really like this quote from him on developing young players and building balance. So he said, giving young players opportunities is a huge passion of mine, but just as important is surrounding them with strong leaders. Success comes from striking the right balance between youth and experience, and this club has done that well in recent years.
Yeah,
So yeah,
awesome.
Adelaide had a good season last year in the women's competition. So we're certainly looking to build from that. And yeah, it's a great idea to be bringing in that youth, but surrounding them with that experience to make sure they're not overawed when they get their chance.
Yep, and I'll touch base on Brisbane, Chief. Up the Sunshine State, we're reportedly looking to sign Houston Salas, a 29-year-old Costa Rican defensive midfielder. Have had one offer rejected, but is still keen. Previously played for Wellington on loan in 2024. Canberra United, we've had no updates. Mariners have had no arrivals. A few departures, though. We've got Brian Kalatak, Alo Kowal, Michael Docker, Jack Warsky, and Will Wilson, Sasha Kowalski, Noah Smith. Are you concerned if you're a Mariners fan, Chief? No arrivals and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 departures and fairly decent ones too. What are your thoughts on that one?
I think Mariners fans, and I'd love to hear any Mariners fans' thoughts, but I think they should be hugely concerned for the upcoming season, but potentially even further down the road than that. As I said, no rivals that I could put my finger on that have come in, and yeah, some big losses there, particularly Caltech, Qual, and Docker. Yeah, they were pretty instrumental last season in a poor Mariners team. They were some of the best of the players. They've got plenty of youth coming through, but for these guys who were treble winners only 2 seasons ago, I don't. It's hard to think that they won't be bottom or bottom two with the way that they're looking at the moment.
We've seen this before, though, from Central Coast, haven't we? They were successful, and they go into wilderness, and then they rebuild, and maybe that's just a club strategy. Not sure, but yeah, not sure what's going on up there. There's not much noise. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. There's still plenty of time, though, I guess. So you never know, but it does look concerning if you're a Mariners fan. It
There's
looks like
plenty of stuff happening off field as well, like plenty of stuff around the ownership, and so yeah. Look, it's worrying. It's concerning, I think, for them. Yeah, that all these players are leaving and they don't seem to be replacing them. Are they just hoping that they can kind of promote within to cover? Not sure, but yeah, I'd be concerned if I was a Mariners fan. So yeah, we'll see.
and all.
Just on Auckland as well. Yeah, so Tommy Smith, he's left to be closer to his family in the UK. So he got a fair bit of game time last year for Auckland. So he'll be a fair loss for them. Probably the bigger news that's come out, and this is just reported, not confirmed, but Auckland and Wellington are reportedly playing in the OFC Pro League. So the competition is going to operate across 5 regional hubs: Auckland, Melbourne, Fiji, Honiara, and Port Moresby, with travel coordinated by the OFC. So yeah, again, reportedly, Auckland FC have applied and are expected to be part of this new professional league structure. So this is just so confusing with the way that the OFC and the AFC cross over, and our A League obviously sits in the middle of both of it. But Wellington, Phoenix, and Auckland at the moment, when we're talking about the Club World Cup that's just been on, they have no way of getting to the Club World Cup with the way that things are currently structured. It looks like the OFC Pro League is designed to be that pathway to the Club World Cup. So, yeah, it's an interesting situation. This is all just obviously speculation at the moment, but if it were to happen, and then how that then balances with the A-League competition, there's even talk of some of the NPL clubs from Australia joining the OFC competition. So again, how that would work, and you're talking about some clubs that are part of the NPL, the Australian Championship, and talking about going into this OFC Pro League as well. So I don't know how far their squads are going to stretch, but very confusing. It's all going to come out in the wash eventually, but yeah, strange times.
It's been a problem for 20 years, Chief, with Wellington. I know when they were successful that they couldn't compete in the Champions League, and just their positional sense to go further, you have to question with the A-League. It's just it's a problem that's never been resolved, and I don't know how much talks are going on in regarding to the future resolving it, but it doesn't look like it's anywhere near that. So yeah, and like we said about the NPL clubs, well, again, they're only trying to develop their own clubs, aren't they? And they're looking for ways to survive and be up in the league. And because there's no pyramid, this is the problem. And I guess when we made the step with Lowy to Asia for our own benefit for Australian football, which has been a great move, it hasn't resolved the Oceania piece. How that is, that's probably a FIFA problem, wouldn't you think? With all
Well,
countries.
because it's the AFC don't recognise New Zealand club teams because obviously Auckland won the competition this year, which would make them eligible to go play in the Asian Champions League, but then they don't qualify because they can't. So yeah, what do you do? Like how do
Massive,
you
massive
like?
problem.
And that's probably one of the reasons why, if the reports are true, that they're looking to go into this OFC Pro League, so that they do look at what's happening with Auckland City in the Club World Cup this season and all the prize money that comes attached to that. No doubt that Auckland FC would want to be part of that as well. And they, as I said, they just don't have a pathway to get there at the moment.
But again, like you got two different competitions and two different continents. It's almost impossible. I can see why probably Football Australian have probably struggled in this space because I don't think anyone's got an answer. But it's you know, geez, it can be debated a lot on many sides what's right. But yeah, watch this space. You know, it, like you said, with Auckland being over in the walk, well, they made an absolute fortune, more than probably any A League club, and you know what I mean
Yeah, definitely.
in the
Yeah,
league. And if you don't make money, you don't survive. So
yeah.
they're only looking after themselves and what the best interests are. So yeah, I'm sure there's plenty more in this space. That
Yep. Agree. All right, let's move on to the next club, MacArthur Bulls. So they've announced the signing of Croatian winger Simi Gerzen for the upcoming season. He's a right-sided player, so I saw some reports saying he's more like a right wing back, others saying he's more like right midfield, but MacArthur have lost Jed Drew and Keely Adamson there in the last kind of 6 months or so. So over 250 games, in the Croatian top flight. So bringing plenty of experience to MacArthur for Mile Stajovski. Melbourne City, they returned to training this week after their A-League Championship win. Aurelia Vidmar had some strong words to say about a renewed focus for them as they head into the season. We mentioned last week about all their young depth coming through and some of the quality signings and extensions that they've made. So looking to be another good season for Melbourne City. Melbourne Victory, they had a 1-1 friendly draw with George Cross during the week. Not much details that came through about that one. Newcastle Jets, James Delinov signed after leaving Adelaide United. And also Nigel Bogard returned to the club and he's going to be the general manager of football. And it seems to me a bit like the Newcastle Jets. They had obviously some struggles with ownership for quite some years, but since their new owners have come in, and you look at Mark Milligan coming in and now Nigel Bogard, they seem to be trying to build a bit more of that DNA. And it's such an overused term in football or in sport generally, but they seem to be wanting to make something of that club. And there's a real proud fan base there, and they love their Novocastrians. They love their local products coming through, and it seems like that's what they want to be trying to do. Wanting,
big
sorry,
shift up in the North Coast, mate, isn't it? That's you've
yeah,
seen, yeah. So there's some challenges on Central Coast, but Newcastle are definitely building. We said about that with their statements of signings in the last couple of weeks. So, good luck to Newcastle. I think they're on the right track after, starved of success.
yeah. I mean, 6-0. They had a 6-0 win towards the back end of last season, and obviously that's a big derby against the Mariners. So, yeah, potentially that was a bit of a sign of what's to come. But some exciting young talents there in Newcastle, and I expect some of them to be leaving, if not, I mean, this window, certainly in January or in the next off season.
All right, let's move over the ditch, Chief. Wellington Phoenix, 1-0 winners over Wrexham. What do we got there? Who's in and out happening over in Wellington?
Well, I just saw they during the week they signed a Nigerian striker, Ifeanyi Eze. I don't know if you saw him, but he looks a big, strong lad. And Giancarlo Italiano, their manager, he said it's a fantastic signing for the club. He has all the attributes I was looking for in an attacker. He can score goals. He's very fast. He can dribble at pace, and his intention is to always go forward. So they scoring goals was a huge problem for Wellington last season. Costa Barbarouses, who has moved to Western Sydney Wanderers, scored 10 of their 27 goals from 26 games. So barely barely more than a goal a game for them. Corbin Piper was their next best with 3 after Barbaroussa's 10.
Oof.
So that's kind of Italiano's system, the way he has set up. He likes to be solid at the back and then create meaningful, good chances. That's kind of he said that a fair bit, but yeah, certainly needs more than a return of a goal a game. And then when one of them is producing more than a third of those goals for you, and he's now gone, it's a gap that needs to be filled. So I'm sure that Italiano's be hoping that as he can do the business for Wellington Phoenix.
Yeah, it was a shift of power last year. I think Auckland took everyone by storm and Wellington fell off a little bit. So they got some challenges themselves to build back up where they were quite consistent over the last 5 years.
Yeah. And also over in Wellington, the women's team has signed Nepalese striker Sabatra Bandari. So she's known as Samba, and she's scored 66 goals. And talk about some good goal scoring form. 66 goals in 60 games for Nepal. She scored 3 hat tricks in 3 matches in the recent AFC Women's Asian Cup qualification tournament. So unfortunately, we were not going to see her in the Asian Cup because Nepal lost to Uzbekistan on penalties after being level on points, goal difference, and goals scored. So went right down to the wire in that group. But good pickup for the Wellington Phoenix team.
Yeah, good spotting there. Obviously, they got their eyes out, and that's a good intent. Yeah, that's fantastic. Hopefully, they go well.
Yeah, she played over in France last year. Yeah, so yeah, good pickup from them. And yeah, they'll be hoping they can kick on from last season. Not a lot of updates from Perth Glory. They're just kind of going about their business with a few trials. They've obviously got their Australia Cup game against Wellington Phoenix coming up next Sunday as well. And then I think they're playing AC Milan a few days after that one as well. So yeah, plenty of games coming up, but not too much activity. But they've done a fair bit of their business already. And Western Sydney Wanderers, so they've signed Ben Mewett on a 2-year scholarship deal. So he's a left back who has joined from the Central Coast Mariners Academy. So yeah, all the best to Ben, and hopefully he can crack it. He's obviously going to be behind Alex Gersbach in the pecking order on that for that left back spot. But he'll be hoping to push his case forward as well. We touched on Western United a bit last week. It didn't make the final edit, but we're talking about some of their signings that have come in. There was obviously a bit happening off the field with Western United, but I think this is a big one. Ben Gariccio extending for 2 years at Western United. He's the club captain there, and I think that shows a lot of intent that if he's willing to sign on the dotted line to extend his deal, that some things are hopefully moving in the background, and we hope for everyone concerned that those things are happening as well. And this was after Shabelle Shamoun, Jaden Kaczarski, Shamoun extended, Kaczarski signed, and John Aloisi extended. So a bit happening at Western United, and look, as I said, hopefully all that off-field stuff gets sorted out sooner rather than later.
All right. And then we've got some Socceroos news, Chief. Friendly against America on the 14th of October in Colorado. Talk us through Popovich's plans for that friendly.
Yeah, he was kind of quizzed on that in his press conference, the reasons why, and he kind of indicated that this had been 3 to 6 months in the works, but nothing could actually be confirmed until Australia had qualified, because we'd obviously be still in the qualifying phase if we hadn't directly qualified. So he mentioned playing in altitude in Colorado. Colorado is not an official stadium for the World Cup, but I think just getting acclimatized to those conditions was a big part for him. It was also a question on the type of players he might be calling up for these squads. And he said, of course, you can give other players an opportunity that deserve to get a chance and see what they can do, but we can't move away from the fact that we're still representing our country, and that needs to be shown when we play. It's kind of a let's sit on the fence response, because he's obviously going to go either way. He's going to go back to his standard squad, or he's going to start to give some more opportunities to the youngsters. He didn't really lean either way in that response, but I did see a few people saying that, look, these windows should be an opportunity to bring in likes of Segacic and Bodic and Milanovic and give them a go. And I kind of can't disagree with that. I think we'd obviously like to win these games. We'd like to perform well, but Yeah, it's an opportunity to bring in these youngsters. I think he needs to bring in at least 5 to 7 players that he hasn't given much of a chance or any chance to in each squad, just to see what they can do. Even if it's just to look at them in camp as opposed to playing them. I think it's just a missed opportunity if we don't do that.
We played America before? I can't recall.
I feel like we may have, maybe many, many years ago.
Okay. But good team to play, ranked 15. So another good nation. Got Canada and New Zealand as well. So 3 good warm up games there. So it's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's good opponents, and look, I think, as you said, what was it? Canada's up to 28th in the world now. I think you said last week.
Yep,
So
28.
yeah, 15th and 28th in the world. So stiff competition and getting used to the conditions over there as well. So ticking a fair few boxes, and then we'll await what happens for that November window. But yeah, we did discuss that last week, and potentially an African opponent, or a mix of an African and someone else in that November window. So we'll wait and see on that one.
All right. What we've got some exciting news, Chief, because it's Australian Cup week this week. Yeah, we've got 8 games this week and 8 games next week. So do you want to talk through a couple of highlights there you've got?
Yeah, so exciting. I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday. There's going to be a heap of games, and then Perth hosting Wellington rounds out this week's games, and then a heap of games next week as well. So looking forward to some of those matchups. My pick is South Hobart first, currently in Tasmania's NPL, to upset South Melbourne, who are currently having a pretty rough season, running 10th in the Victorian NPL. So yeah,
Bring your jumper
I
for
think
that one, mate. That'd be freezing down there. Freezing.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Be brutal.
Um, but looking forward to a few of those games, and hopefully we get a few cup sets, makes it a bit more exciting. I was interested to look at how the A-League clubs are juggling these Australia Cup games. I mean, so this is round of 32 that we're playing now, but then the round of 16 and the quarterfinals are both scheduled for August. So not too far apart. I suppose if clubs are fitting in a few friendlies, a few intra-club games in between, they can kind of build into the season. I saw some reports that the A-League schedule is due to be out by the end of July, so potentially we know around that time, but expect it to be in October, I would say, starting point. So it's a long time. If you get knocked out in this round of the Australia Cup, what do you do with your players? Do you keep building in with games, or do you kind of taper down? I'm not really sure how they're going to manage that, but it's a long introduction into the season if they get knocked out at this stage.
Yeah. Oh, well, I wish everyone well. 32 teams. We wish you all the best for your clubs. Get out there and watch a game. Just be some fantastic atmosphere out there. And good luck to all the home teams too, as well. Obviously, get to host such a great event. So hopefully they get the great support needed. So, and all teams can have a cracker of some games. Don't worry about the A-League clubs, Chief. Look for the upsets, mate, and watch football grow.
Makes it more fun anyway.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
They'll find plenty to do. Don't worry.
You touched on the emerging Matildas championships just before, so yeah, congratulations to New South Wales Sky, who won the under 15s tournament. They conceded only 4 goals all tournament, so yeah, very tidy work. And Victoria Blue won the under 16s. They defeated New South Wales Sky in the final and scored the only goal against New South Wales Sky all tournament. So the defensive coach for New South Wales Sky and the under 15s, 16s, congratulations to you, because you're keeping a very tidy ship there. Well done.
Yes, well done to all the girls. Fantastic tournament, both for the boys and girls over the last couple of weeks. Great to see one of the stepping stones recommended from FIFA and Australian football back in 2024 to have this tournament, and they've made it work. A few opportunities, no doubt, to build on this tournament around cost structure and vice versa. But look, it's a positive start, and I'm sure we'll only learn and grow and get better.
Yeah, definitely. And a few interested onlookers there with Matilda's coach, Joe Montemuro, and Tom Samani on hand as well to oversee the tournament. So yeah, very, very nice for the girls to have those eyes on them and watching the next gen coming through.
Yeah, it was cool to see Optus still, although they're obviously leaving the Premier League and that, they had some good shout out videos on there too. So jump online Lots of cool interviews, lots of young Matildas there supporting the teams as well. So great to see everyone getting involved for the benefit of the game. I will just touch quickly base on obviously the Asia Cup next year. Tickets went on sale on Friday on the 18th. So that was highly anticipated. And the last group, because obviously we've got the draw coming up next week, we've got the last group, Iran and Jordan, tied 9 points with one game to go over there for the final spot. So it's tight. So the last spot will get unearthed, and then we'll have the draw next week. And then obviously the tickets will go on sale for obviously football family and general public. But if you were lucky enough to get a ticket last week, well done. It's going to be a cracker of a tournament, the 12-team tournament, obviously, with the three host cities, Perth, Gold Coast and Sydney.
All right. We've got two more things to get through, and then we're going to say goodbye. We mentioned last week about the father-son relationships in the A-League. So during the week, we were able to find 12 father-son combinations. So let's just whip through them really quickly. So Cassio, former left-back at Adelaide United, has two actually, Bernardo Oliveira and Enrique Oliveira. So well done to Cassio for bringing those young gentlemen through. Richie Alagic bringing through Ethan Alagic, who's been really consistent for Adelaide United last couple of years. Dylan McAllister, we mentioned last week with Matthias McAllister. Cristiano has Rafael Borges Rodriguez, who's now on the books at Coventry over in the Championship. Tony Popovic, his son Christian Popovic. He also had another son, Gabriel Popovic, who played in the under-21s at Perth Glory, but didn't officially play any A-League games. Tim Cahill, his son Shay Cahill, played a couple of games for Brisbane Roar. Tony Vidmar, Kane Vidmar is his son, who we mentioned earlier, training with Adelaide United. Royce Brownlee, the father of Rylan Brownlee, who's now at Crystal Palace. Bobby Despotovsky, the NSL legend, and played some games in the A-League as well. His son, Sebastian Despotovsky, is coming through the ranks at Perth Glory now. And then Stuart Young and Jacob Young, the last combination of players. Heaps of father-son combinations there to pick through.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of questions too. Some interesting transfer news around Ellie Carpenter. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, Carpenter's move. Would she take Bronze's spot? Lucy Bronze, well, did you see that header from Lucy Bronze to get him back in Sweden? Wow, she's a superstar, isn't she?
I said last week that I think that that's a succession plan. I'm not so sure now. I think Ellie's going to have some stiff competition for that spot.
Well, it's probably what she needs anyway. If you want to be elite, yeah, you got to be up there. But I did say Lucy Bronze has got 2 years left in her contract this year and next year. So, yeah, Carpenter is going to be in a definitely heads-up challenge there. What position? Well, Chelsea play with wing-backs, so it'll be definitely a wing-back system, which I think suits Carpenter. Would love to see it in the Australian Matildas play that, but we don't play that system. But Chelsea do play wing-backs, and I think that'll suit Carpenter's game. But I think Carpenter will also, even though Lucy Bronze is there, will get some really good learnings from Lucy Bronze. Yeah, I know we're always threatened by position, but I think she'll get a lot of attributes off Lucy Bronze because she's an all-round, all-round athlete, and she can header the ball. Maybe this is where she brings on Ellie Carpenter. So the succession plan might look good on both sides, not just the fact that she's facing stiff competition.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think both of them will expect to start, so it'll be interesting times about how that plays out at Chelsea. But I guess we'll wait and see because their competition won't be too far off.
Could have a foot race. You'd win that, wouldn't she?
Ellie? Yeah, I think you'd think so.
Smash her.
All right, that's going to do us for the Aussie Game podcast this week. Thanks everyone for listening. We appreciate everyone's support, and until next time, enjoy your football.